To most people, wide receiver 3 is a position that isn't thought of as much in the NFL, and it seems Kyle Shanahan doesn't think fondly of the position as well, with him only using sets of 3 wide receivers 44% of the time last season. So you may be asking yourself, why am I making a video on this topic? Well, you see, because I can, and secondly, because wide receiver 3 is the one position in which no one knows who it could be. There are like 4 guys who can win the job, and I just want to talk about my thoughts on each one and why they can or can't get the job, and then finally at the end get my opinion on who it should be. So let's begin. Let me begin with the one guy it seems a lot are rooting for. Well, besides the other guy we'll talk about next. But anyway, let's get back on topic of Jalen Hurts. Now let's lay down the pros and cons as why he should be wide receiver 3. One thing people are starting to notice about the Shanahan offense is that yes, the wide receivers and tight ends have their designation, as you know, tight end 1 or wide receiver 1, but they do more than just that. Sometimes the tight ends are lined up at usually where a receiver is, or the wide receivers are doing jet sweeps and are more acting like a running back. Just look at the yak that these players are getting. And this is planned by Kyle Shanahan, one, because the QB throwing the ball doesn't have the best of arms, but also because Shanahan wants positionless football, 11 versus 11 football. So it keeps people guessing on who will get the ball on plays, and Jalen Hurts is one of the ideal guys for this. He's currently labeled as a wide receiver, but also has experience playing running back in college. But that isn't all. You see, when he actually has the ball in his hand, he acts more like a tight end with how he wants to get hit and hit people back. He's like a prototype Chase Claypool in that regard. But there is one thing holding him back. So here's the thing about Jalen Hurts. On paper, he seems to be a surefire candidate for wide receiver 3, but there is one problem. He has never played a regular season football game going into what will be his 3rd year. Couldn't play his rookie year due to back problems he had, and couldn't play last year due to tearing his ACL rehabbing. So yes, he checks all the boxes for what Shanahan is looking for. Like, who doesn't want a version of Chase Claypool on their team? But then the question is, can he stay healthy so he can win this job? Now, on to the next guy. So on to the next guy. As someone mentioned in the last part, Richie James. Let's talk about him. Unlike Jalen Hurts, Richie James has regular season playing time under his belt, playing 40 games of a possible 48, both as a receiver and kickoff and punt returner. He also does have experience playing running back, wide receiver, and wildcat QB in college, so he still fits the positionless football offense that Shanahan is looking for. And also, he has also stepped up, in my opinion, when needed, catching a pass during a game against Arizona when the 49ers needed to sweep the Cardinals for a better chance of winning the West than there was last year when mostly all the wide receivers went down with COVID, and right before a game against Green Bay, but the 49ers lost, he did step up to fill that position and had good stats. And there are cons to Richie James, is that he has been on the 49ers since 2018 when he was drafted, and he couldn't beat out Kendrick Bourne, a undrafted free agent, for wide receiver 3. So for now I can say he still needs to work on some stuff if he couldn't beat him out. And the question is, can he fix it to get the job? Now to the next guy. Now on to Juwan Jennings. So what is there to say about him? He spent his rookie year on a practice squad / injured. Well, there's a lot to talk about Juwan Jennings. So let's talk about it. Just so I can get out of the way, yes, he fits positionless football archetype, but in a somewhat different way from the last two. You see, he isn't the best at route running, but he punishes you specifically with his yak and rack capability. He plays the wide receiver position as if he were a tight end. And also his passion in playing physical is something Kyle's looking for. Remember, we are talking about a coach that specializes in bully ball, which means he's looking for these tough players so he can run his type of offense. As stated before, though, he is a very physical receiver. He needs to be that because of his explosiveness off the line and his route running need work, which is probably why he was on the practice squad his rookie year. And yes, his passion for playing is one of his best assets, but that is somewhat a double-edged sword. Let me explain. Back when he was in college, he was kicked off the Tennessee Volunteers for a year for a profanity-laced triad aimed towards the coaching staff, which I understand you don't do that, but that was one of the worst coaching staffs the Volunteers have ever had, with a record of 4-8. So I'm not saying he was in the right for doing it, but someone had a good reason for it. In his senior year, he was suspended for half a game for kicking someone in the head. So there is a question on how passionate. So the last three guys are all relatively young, so I need to give some love to a veteran wide receiver. So let's talk about Mohamed Sanu. Yes, this roster has veterans all across the offense and defense, but there isn't one per se in the wide receiver room. And I feel like that's needed. Just look at the impact Emmanuel Sanders made to that room during the Super Bowl run. Before he came, that offense was still trying to figure things out. Then he comes Vince and things clicked. The wide receivers started to grow under Emmanuel Sanders, and Jimmy also got himself a reliable target to throw to as the offense grew. Now, will Mohamed have the same impact? Maybe not. But if he is at least a reliable target and he's there for the receivers, then that's enough. Mostly it's his age is the problem. He's been in the league since 2012, been on 4 teams including the 49ers last year. So the game has taken its toll on him. So the question is, can he hold up and play his part as wide receiver 3? Also, he doesn't fit the positionless football archetype because of his age, but he can probably still be a wildcat QB if needed. So there's that. So I just went through the 4 guys I think have a good chance of winning the position. Now, are these the only 4 that can win it? No, there are so many other dudes that I didn't go over in this video that have a good chance of winning that spot. Because let's be honest, someone is probably going to get injured just because that is what happens on the 49ers. Now to end this video, let me give my opinion on who should be wide receiver 3. So if I was making roster decisions, I would want Jalen Hurts as my wide receiver 3. Though he has never played a regular season game, his potential outweighs that to me. And just think of his mindset of not playing for 2 years. That would make anyone motivated to get that position and hold on to it. But if he does somehow get injured, I expect Juwan or Richie to get the job just because they have that. Well, Juwan because he's similar to Jalen Hurts in a lot of ways, and Richie just because of how long he's been on the roster. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you feel like it, do the comment stuff, subscribe, like, all that. And the next video, let me talk about next. Next video we'll be talking about the running backs and